Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. For day 3 of UM spring football practices have been completed. The first week is now done. They were in shells today, so they're going to have a week off, and then they'll come back to action on March 19th, and then eventually they'll be in full pads. Looking forward to that. You know, today able to watch 7 periods, able to only film 2 instead of 4, but I did get some good clips of the wide receivers, which I will get into my observations of them in a little bit. Also, I really want to talk about the quarterbacks, and I'm going to get to that, but just a few notes. You know, Jadis Richard, the cornerback, talked after practice today, and he said he was up to 205 pounds, but now he's down to 198, also feels a little bit faster. Said he was getting clocked at 19 to 20 miles per hour in practices with their tracking devices, and now at times he said he's 21, 23. You know, he's kind of in that range, so it feels a little bit faster. Also, I do want to point out he did look a little bit better in those one-on-one drills, which I will have the full rundown of over 20 plays once again. I think you guys like that, so I will get into that. But, you know, he had that tough day, you know, last practice, so it's good to see him play a little bit better, not have that bad performance really linger to the next day in terms of the drills that we're able to see. Another note, defensive coordinator spoke to the reporters today for the first time with spring ball, and he said C.J. Clark, the defensive tackle, actually had a pick 6, so that's good to hear. A guy like that making plays. And then another thing, it was a big recruiting event, and stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm going to post what it looks like outside on the plaza here, right outside the facilities for the recruits, for the players, you know, just kind of what it looks like, you know, just the atmosphere, a little bit different than normal, but stay tuned to that. I'll post that video at the end so you can see what it looks like here. So unfortunately, one of the things I saw today that I wasn't able to film was this quarterback drill, but I'll try to paint the picture the best I can. Basically, all 5 scholarship quarterbacks, in addition to the walk-ons, working with Shannon Dawson in the end zone, and I was literally like 10 feet from all this happening. And when I'm able to be that close, it's always great to be able to watch the guys, there's no doubt about that, but I like to listen to the coaches, the things that they're instructing their players, and I was able to hear some of the messaging from Coach Dawson on this particular drill. So they were working on accuracy drills. There was 2 different ones. I'll get into the second one, but with the first one, they really worked on this where they had 4, you know, pads on the ground, and they were working on stepping through the pocket. So Dawson would tell him to kind of move, you know, left and right, up through the middle. There's basically 4 pads on the ground and 3 spaces to go through. And then when he tells him to go left, for example, you know, he wants him to hit a certain hole, but throw to the left. They have the nets, you know, the quarterback nets to throw into, you know, he's kind of got, there's 3 holes in there, and he wants them to step through the pocket and then hit the targets. And then they get a second throw immediately afterwards. And basically you're trying to avoid contact, kind of throw a little bit off script a little bit, but also step through the pocket, you know, trying to simulate that. You know, one thing we talk about so much with quarterback mobility, I think a lot of times we're always thinking about scrambles. You know, can you get 10 to 15 yards on a run? But sometimes mobility is not about the yards you pick up. Sometimes it's about extending plays, and maybe it is just the mobility within a pocket. You know, a few yards here or there, good footwork in the pocket there to be able to step up and make good throws. It's not always about the mobility to scramble. And I think that's what I saw today in this drill. You know, and each player got, you know, they rotate all of them, again, 2 throws at a time, then they go back through it. But, you know, some of the messaging that Coach Dawson said was he really paid attention to, you know, told these guys to not do it necessarily at a fast speed, just go at a good pace. He wanted them to go through a good pace, and really tight footwork was big to him. Some short steps, you know, up and down, you know, back and forth through the little holes there on the ground, and then also obviously hit your targets. You know, when you hit them, if he says left, you got to hit that left target, you know, and I thought that was interesting from that standpoint. You know, I thought the accuracy was pretty evident, you know, some things that guys need to work on. You know, it's just a small drill. It's not, I don't watch these guys every day, obviously, and we don't always get to see this particular drill in action, but, you know, I think it's pretty clear, you know, who does well and also who needs work. And then the second drill was very straightforward. You know, they get 3 passes, left, middle, right. It's quick passes. You got to hit the left target, which is in the lower left. Middle is right there on the center, and then upper right. You know, it's left, middle, right, essentially what it calls it. They get 3 throws, and you know, most of the guys hit 2 targets. Some hit 1, but you know, I thought, for example, Jakari Brown hit all 3. He was pretty excited about that, and I thought it was a good bounce back because his accuracy wasn't there when he was stepping through. So, you know, although he hit his targets there, you know, he missed on his targets on that previous drill. And if I were to just kind of combine that with how they looked in the left, middle, right, in addition to this step through drill, I would definitely have to rank them. I'd put Reese Poffenbarger number 1 just on these drills, and then I would put probably Emory Williams. I thought was more accurate, slightly more accurate than Cam Ward. I put him 3. Cam was pretty accurate though, it wasn't anything off, but Emory just a little bit more accurate. Then I put Jakari there, and then I thought Judd Anderson really struggled. Sometimes he'd miss the net. I thought he struggled on his step throughs, kind of moving up. It's just something for him to work on with his accuracy, and I think certainly the technique and everything that he's learning, but that's how I'd rank the 5. Based on what I saw today with the accuracy just on those 2 drills. And I just ranked the accuracy of the quarterbacks in this drill, but I think it's pretty clear cut, just kind of talking with certain people and watching how the hierarchy kind of works, how the snap distribution might work in drills, or when they do one-on-ones or these 3-on-3s, which I'll get into. It just definitely feels like Cam Ward's number 1, Reese Poffenbarger's number 2, and then I think they rotate at the number 3 spot between Jakari and Emory. And then Judd is the 5 guy. So that's the way I see it right now, and maybe a little surprising for some people. I think everybody obviously expected Cam to be the 1, but I think it's pretty clear cut based on, again, watching drills, watching how they throw the ball, and obviously their production. I think Reese is the number 2, and really at this point, I would probably be surprised if that changes. So let's talk about the wide receivers a little bit. So 3-on-3 drill, basically, it's 2 wide receivers and a running back against 3 defensive backs. But kind of a guy that did well as a wide receiver just during this portion was Isaiah Horton. Caught a nice little 15-yarder, caught a short pass, but typically this drill looked to be more towards the running backs, or just that they were throwing a little bit more underneath. When Cam Ward got in there, he was looking a little bit more downfield than the other quarterbacks. And in terms of the running backs, Xavier Restrepo has had a really good first 2 days, and I'm not sure, how he looked throughout the rest of today's practice since it was closed. But I will say, he wasn't, he didn't make the big plays that we saw the first 2 days, but he did have a really nice block, and it's hard to kind of pinpoint what this block necessarily would have been because they had essentially stopped the play. But on one of these short passes, Cam Ward got it out quick to Chris Johnson, and with where Xavier was lined up in the slot, he was a blocking receiver and did a good job of getting his man, Powell out of there, and it allowed Chris some space in front of him, and we saw, he's so fast. I was able to see him, kind of make a quick move, kind of showed that burst and kind of got to the middle of the field quickly where it felt like he definitely could have outran the defense. Again, it's tough because the defense is not full out on tackling, but it just felt like there was some good space there, and I thought that was good to see. And I know Chris is looking to make some plays, get involved in this with this running back room, certainly more than he did a year ago. But I thought that was a little bit of a burst that we saw. It was good to see, but yeah, he's a guy that certainly could be used in the passing game just to get him the ball. But again, just on this small moment, this 3-on-3 drill, it was good to see that little moment out of Chris. Okay, so let's talk about these one-on-ones. I'll do the rundown here. 24 plays. I kept track of quarterbacks this time. Wasn't able to do it the last time. But the way it broke down, each quarterback got 4 reps and then go on to the next guy. Cam Ward got a total of 8 pass attempts. Reese also had 8. And then they rotated Jakari and Emory, each got a set of 4. Jakari only got 3 throws because one actually didn't count because the cornerback jammed up the receiver, which I will get into that. But, so 23 pass attempts and 14 completions, the way I tallied it up. And certainly, I didn't tally it up last time, but I think if you heard the rundowns, certainly there's no doubt about it that the receivers, the offensive guys, had the better of the defensive guys previously. But today, defensive backs stepped up. Some good pass breakups, not as much blown coverages, so to speak. And, I just thought defensive backs kind of picked it up a little bit today. One-on-ones are always difficult. I think it definitely favors the receivers with what they're able to do, especially if they're able to, run out their full routes. If they're not really telling the quarterback how soon they need to get rid of it. It just, the longer the play goes on, it just makes sense that the receivers certainly get an advantage. But again, defensive backs I thought did a much better day today. All right, let's start it out. Cam Ward goes overthrow there to Isaiah Horton. Then it follows up with an Elijah Arroyo catch with Jaden Harris guarding him. That's been a matchup that we've seen quite a bit so far. Also, Xavier Restrepo versus Powell, and Powell talked about it afterwards, just kind of enjoys going against him and said he was frustrated with that big catch that Xavier had last practice, but he really likes the competition and just spoke highly of Xavier and really a lot of the guys. Cam Ward, he spoke highly about, certainly a guy that he had seen in the Pac-12. But Xavier caught a short pass there on Powell there on the 3rd play, 4th play. Jacoby George, a nice little 15-yard catch there with Jadis Richard in coverage. Another 15-yard catch with Reese Poffenbarger starting it out, going to Shamar Kirk, and Freeney was in coverage there. Again, staying with Reese. Riley Williams, he created a little bit of a nice separation, but Markeith Williams, this right on the sideline, jumped up and had a nice pass breakup. So a good play, got one hand high up in the air to bat the ball down, kind of prevents this, would have been maybe a 15-yard catch there, kind of like on a corner play there on the sideline. So good for Markeith. Then a little bit of an overthrow to Ray Joseph with Dylan Day in coverage, and then his fourth play, another pass breakup. Miles Muyong, this walk-on kind of keeps making plays. He's a very energetic player while he was guarding Nikar, but a nice pass breakup. And, I watch Miles, and he's been in this program for a while, and anytime you see a walk-on kind of, really earns a lot of praise, from the staff and the teammates, making plays. It makes me think that maybe he can have a role on this team, particularly on special teams. So maybe look for 38 there. Maybe Muyong can kind of, he's getting older. He's kind of understands what it takes, and he's having these good practices. So, if you're looking on walk-ons, maybe that can make an impact, or at least have a role on the team. Maybe keep your eye on him, because he is. He's keeping up and he's making plays and doing the right thing. All right, so this was that big play I was talking about with the jam. It kind of, there's certain plays on one-on-ones. It doesn't matter the setting, whether it's a high school level, certainly NFL or here at college. But there's certain plays on one-on-ones where it gets everybody watching excited, or you hear a little bit of a cheer. And this was the biggest play. So Jakari stepping up at quarterback. Got JoJo Trader with his first one-on rep of the day, and he's going up against Daryl Porter. And it was on the far sideline from where we're standing, so across the field, but definitely had my eyes glued to it because of how well JoJo has been doing thus far. And Daryl jammed him up, really pushed him off the line of scrimmage from the beginning. And that ended the play, essentially. Got everybody going, got the defense going for sure. But basically just like an upperclassman corner, a guy with experience, kind of, wanted to make sure he kind of held JoJo in check. And JoJo's been very good just on that play. Daryl definitely got him and got everybody, kind of hyped up there about midway through the reps here. Sticking with Jakari, threw a nice pass. Elijah Lofton, kind of beat Zaquan Patterson pretty well and caught a nice pass there. And Lofton kind of makes plays. He's one of these guys that's tough to guard, kind of really understands spacing and pace when he's running his routes, really good balance, just kind of knows how to get open and make catches. And that's what I've seen from him. He's a freshman that's been making plays, there's no doubt about it. An impressive play for the offense came from Robbie Washington there, lined up. Jakari's still a quarterback, but he's lined up there, getting ready to go against Jaden Harris. He's kind of on the outside, but he sets him up. But in about 10 to 15 yards, he makes his cut to the outside. Just a really strong, really drove Harris kind of up the field a little bit with the way he got into his break there. And then as soon as he hit his break and kind of cut to the outside, really good explosion out of that and caught this little 15-yard pass. Good placement on the ball, but a really good route by Robbie, just to show his explosion, his quickness before he got the ball. And that's what's fun about watching one-on-one. Certainly you watch the end to see, did the guy catch it or not, and certainly you watch the separation. But I really like watching how it starts off, how routes start off both ways. For the wide receiver, if they're getting off some good separation, some good explosion, but also the defensive backs. A lot of times, I know coaches talk about that plays for the defensive backs can be won or lost really quickly at the line of scrimmage. That's why technique is so important, because you can't always make up for things. Certainly at this level of getting back into the play with your speed, it doesn't always happen. Okay, then on the fourth play with Jakari, nice double move by Michael Redding III. Looks like he gets some separation with Jadis Richard on the one-on-one. The ball falls incomplete, but just good to see Mike kind of create a nice move there, but it didn't work out there. Downfield pass that just fell incomplete. Okay, so back to Cam Ward for his second session set here. Isaiah Horton gets downfield. Demetrius Freeney's in good position. Ball falls incomplete. Freeney and even some of the staff members were wanting a little offensive pass interference call. It just kind of shows you that Freeney was in good position. So that's good to see. Again, guys bouncing back from tough days from the last session here. Then on the second play, again, another catch by Arroyo. We're seeing that middle of the field. Savion Riley in coverage there, but we're seeing Arroyo make a lot of catches. You're starting to pile it up together, which is what you want to hear, and he's been out there. So it's good that he's making plays. Hopefully he can turn in a productive season. Then this was an interesting play. I don't know if it was a drop by Restrepo or if Powell got his hands on it, but it wasn't a catch. It fell incomplete there on a short play. And then another deep play here, Jacoby George going up against Muyang, who I touched on him earlier, but just couldn't keep up with the speed of Jacoby. Beats him deep over the top. You know, and the way they're doing it, it's about 40-yard touchdown catch. And I thought what was good was it was on a throw from Cam on the, you know, on the back part of the end zone, and Jacoby easily got his feet in, but did a good job. He actually got both feet in, but just kind of shows you the way he hauled it in there on the back of the end zone. So a good touchdown there from Jacoby. Then Poffenbarger, Shamar Kirk gets a catch there on Porter, and then Jackson Carver had a, you know, he ran by Markeith, but the ball falls incomplete. Ray Joseph beat a walk-on deep. Made a nice catch on the sideline. It's one of these sideline plays were right in front of me, so that's good to see. It's kind of fun watching guys, you know, with everything going on, being able to come down with the play there. And then it kind of wraps up with another short catch, Michael Ray in the third with Richard on him. So some short passes by Richard given up here, but again, not the pass interference calls that you know, didn't get beat for a touchdown. That's why I say he was better in situations here. And then kind of going to Emery. Emery gets out there, kind of wrapping this up. And this is, you know, JoJo, his second rep. Had that tough first rep, but he bounces back. This, you know, he had been going deep on these one-on-ones, just running up the sideline, but this time he kind of, instead of running up, he kind of makes an inside move and catches the ball in the middle of the field, right at the goal line, and gets a touchdown there with Freeney on him. And then also another 10-yard catch by Lofton with Harris covering him. And then Robbie Washington, an incomplete pass there with Dylan Day on him. And then it wraps up here with a drop there. And then it wraps up with a drop by Naikar again, going deep, and Muyang in coverage there. So 24 reps, a lot of stuff here. A lot of the other notes that I kept track of. Okay, so that wraps up everything for me. Again, March 19th is the next practice. We will still have plenty of content on the website, kind of going through the first week, kind of putting together all of our notes on everything that's happened, and also hitting on some other hot topics with the team and the program. But stay tuned to the video. At the end here, I'm going to post the recruiting, what it looked like outside with the recruiting plaza, the way I had it set up, and also the players. As I mentioned, players were taking advantage of the space as well. Thanks again for all your support. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day, rest of the weekend. Hopefully everybody is celebrating International Women's Day. Shout out to everybody there as well. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. Always appreciate the positivity. I definitely got to write back and comment on everybody that has really chimed in. So I really appreciate it. Just been a little bit busy, but definitely want to get to everybody. So thank you so much. Have a good day. Take care.